welcome to everyone to this UX Talk 26. It's a pleasure to me to introduce you to this UX Talk, where the topic is, in my opinion, one of the most relevant today in the UX field is the automotive UX scenario. So this is a good opportunity, hoping that all of you can hear us and see us well. I will just give you few information about the UX Talk. So the UX Talk are born in relation to our course in UX design, and now we are 26th edition. We usually have at least 3 or 4 talks every year. The idea is a mix and a hybrid situation like this. So we are here in presence with our classroom of this year, that is the 10th UX, 11th UX design classroom. Say hello to everyone, guys. Okay, just to say this is a real hybrid situation, and I am Venanzio Aquila. I am the scientific director of the course of UX design. Here with me there is Davide Genco. Just turn around and show Davide. Okay. Hi. And we have a pleasure to introduce you Benedetta Grazian, that is connected from Turin. So this is really, let's say, international. Ciao Benedetta, welcome.
Ciao, ciao a tutti.
And here there is Sebastiano Boni.
Hi everyone.
He's in Milan. His headquarters is in Milan, so we are here in present together, and we will share with you this this talk. As always, we try to use the talk to discuss some relevant topic in relation to UX, and also to verify some, let's say, evolutionary pathway for the professional issue and elements. So we asked to our guest this evening to discuss about what is UX design, and we have a really good situation, in my opinion, because we can see the topic by 2 perspectives. But both of you works as a UX designer, so you do apparently the same job, but you look the problem from 2 perspectives. One is, let's say, the classical car design perspective. So Benedetta comes from Gran Studio, that is one of the most relevant Italian, but also international car design studio. And Sebastiano will see the topic from the reverse side, so from technology. So it comes from Huawei, Mark, that is the Italian studio about aesthetics, and I don't remember exactly the acronyms.
Milan Aesthetic Research Center.
Okay, and this is the point of view of a IT producer, so a technology multinational company based in China that is entering or jumping into the UX world using a philosophy like, let's say, all the technologies uses that to define a new vocabulary, a new, let's say, way to interact with the product. So it's a pleasure to me to hear from you. I want to jump the presentation, and I will leave the floor to Benedetta just to introduce Gran Studio and their point of view about UX. And at the end, we can discuss about this topic together with in a question and answer. I will can hear us well, and also I will ask all the participants to use the chat to do questions that we will answer later on at the end of the 2 presentations. So Benedetta, it's a pleasure to me, and I leave you the floor.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, I'm gonna share my screen.
Yeah.
So you can see my presentation. Okay, do you see the screen?
Yeah.
Even in the full screen?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, welcome everybody, and thank you for inviting me to this UX talk. It's a pleasure for me. I'm Benedetta Grazian, a UX designer for Gran Studio. And today we are going to talk a little bit about what Grand Studio is doing to innovate the automotive system and the mobility system from the UX point of view. First, I wanted to introduce a little bit myself. So I am recently graduated from TU Delft, a scientific university in the Netherlands. And 1 year ago, I got the diploma, as you can see here, alone, because of course it was a pandemic. So I had to graduate, as most of you also will graduate from home. And then I got to get my diploma there 1 year ago, around 1 year ago. And then after my graduation, which for my graduation thesis, I got for the first time into the automotive sector, studying a project with autonomous driving. I got the chance to enter in this automotive sector, which before I never explored. And I found it very interesting because it's an industry where technology plays a really important role nowadays, and where me as a UX designer, I could experiment a lot, because of course we know the traditional automotive field is very strict, and it's mostly styling of interior and exteriors of cars, while a perspective of UX design is completely different. So after my graduation, which I really enjoyed from the UX perspective in a company where there were only engineers, basically, I decided to continue with the automotive industry, and I found Grand Studio, which is an innovative mobility research and automotive design studio placed in Turin, where automotive was born together with Modena, of course, and here, yes, and here we define, design and develop not only cars, but future mobility means. So our scope is not only designing styling of cars, but of course also the whole mobility system. So here in the project, you can also see some trolleys and other kind of mobility, everything that has to, that deals with mobility. We are based in Turin, as I told you, and this is the overview of the studio. And our team is around 60 people, including designers, engineers, urbanists, and developers. And Grand Studio's clients include a lot of famous brands like Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, Stellantis, of course, Philips, but not only automotive brands, but also, for example, Philips, which is innovation, Easy Walker, the trolley that I showed before, and a lot of clients all over the globe. And the capabilities of these studios are not only automotive and styling itself, but it's a more, it covers, let's say, the whole spectrum of the design process of mobility. So our focus was performance design and everything that has to deal with aerodynamics and all of that. And one of the symbols of this is the Lara Stradale, which was made in 2017. Here you can see one of the sketches. So of course, also here UX plays a role, but it's not the focus. While in general automotive design, for example, the light here, I don't know if you have ever seen this car, is a car that is a family car, so for families, but has a really nice innovation on the roof and on the top part of the car because it has some solar panels. So the scope here was to charge under the sign while moving. So every project that we are doing, we are trying to approach from an innovative approach. And then, of course, one of our capabilities is also UX and UI design. So what is happening not only inside the cars with the screens, the touch screens, the controllers, and all of that, but also the communication and interaction that the user has with the vehicle. And one of the symbols is comma, which is a recent project, which unfortunately for now I cannot really share a lot because it's under protection. But we are trying to switch our mindset from a UX point of view and studying the society from a society where cars are probably too big for our reality, and we are trying to understand what can be the future of this reality. And then another topic that we are always researching is the smart mobility design. So understanding not only the cars and the traditional vehicles, but also understanding what can be the future of it and how these will influence or we are going to influence in the future. So one of our projects about this topic was Mobject. So nowadays you are going to see in Milan as well, in Turin, but everywhere the scooters. And these Mobject project is another project that we developed internally and approaches the same problem in another way. So here you can see Mobjects are these autonomous robot that moves around the pedestrian areas and create also new interaction between people. So our approach is not only focusing on the single vehicle design, the columns that you can see here, which is a more traditional approach where you can see car designers or designers of bicycles, buses, and every product is approached separately. But in our studio, we are trying to understand what will be the system in the future and also in the present, understanding what UX design plays a role in this system, in this mobility system. Our process starts from a big jump into the future. With this diagram, I want to explain a little bit our process, even though every project is different, so it can be approached in different ways. But more or less, this is, let's say, the process that we are trying to follow for every project. We try to jump into the future, understanding and researching what can be the future trends and understanding the vision concept of the future, and then through some loops of UX research, style research, and development, we are trying to deliver products which are closer to the present. And for the UX UI design process in Grand Studio, we start from a research phase where we understand user behavior, society, and the current market, and then we go for a brand UX definition. So because we are an agency, so we have to first understand what is the brand UX DNA, we call it, to understand deeply what the brands wants to deliver as values and with their vehicles. And then we pass to the design and development phase, where the UX design together with the styling is overlapping, and we try to merge, let's say, the expertise of UX designer and understanding of the users with the styling of the vehicles to deliver then a digital or physical mock-up. We can call it phygital mock-up. And this is more or less our standard process. Okay, so in the automotive industry, the UX UI designer is seen as a HMI designer usually, because of course, with the new technologies, we have a lot of screens and a lot of interaction that are constantly changing in the interior of the cars. But in Grand Studio, we are trying to first merge this part with the technology, which of course are there and are still constantly developing, and also with the behavior, so the use that real people are making inside the vehicles. And then also understanding the brand DNA to deliver a product which is specific for those brands. So understanding the why of that brand and the values that is sitting behind. And then, of course, the how, so how we can, through the UX, the experience that the users are making, how we can differentiate those brands and those values, and then delivering something, the product, which is close to the market and the technology. So for our design process, we are using many different methodologies, which can vary from user observations, surveys, questionnaires, qualitative interviews, for example, and then we try to define with some user journeys, for example, or schemes. We try to map the insights that we get from the research part and trying to define what can be the use cases and the direction to take for the UX project. And then, of course, we have to always match with the styling, because we know that in automotive, the first appeal, the first sight is also playing a big role. So here you can see some sketches that merges both the style integration with the UX, pure UX content. And then, of course, because we are always trying to innovate our process, now we are focusing a lot on VR and how we can optimize the process of the traditional automotive process, which takes a lot of time of development with VR. So we are trying to make 3D model and UX integration through physical and digital prototyping together with VR. And this can be even more optimized, because with the VR is easier to change something and to test it out with people, with clients, but also within us, within the team. And then, of course, we have a big part of UX work, which includes the screens that you can see inside the vehicles. So the wireframes, the UI, and trying to always test it out with clients. Here you can see a user flow of the interior central display of the car. And then here you can see very quickly what kind of controllers we are trying to develop. Yes, the development part. But today I want to present you a little bit more in detail this project, which is a recent project called Reset. It's a research project that was born in Grand Studio this year, and we started from resetting the traditional automotive design. So we wanted to have our mind completely blank and trying to discover a vehicle from a UX driven mindset, experimenting with new technologies and also new tools to deliver new mobility means. So here for this project, we started from our future trend database, where we collect all the insights on society, context, technology, and also materials. And then we have this database where we cluster for example, interior, exterior, HMI, and we cluster all the insights that we get to have a big brain of knowledge that we can use for each project, and then selecting the topics that we want for those specific projects. We cluster and we start analyzing what is the context, what is the direction, and start defining what can be the product for that project. And for the reset, we have done a user journey where we mapped the behavior of people and what can be a totally different approach to automotive design. And thanks to our internal tool, the Digify, we call it, it's a machine that we built internally, where we can try out different configuration of new vehicles, or even we can upload with the software. We can upload packages of current cars in the market, and we can try out different positioning, different configurations of the steering wheel, of the pedals, of the seats. And we, for this specific project, we started from those from this tool, because we wanted to experiment new way of living the vehicle. So here is an introduction of the Digify, which is a mixed reality. So we have the physical and also the VR, where you can upload some interior or exterior also of the car and see and experience what the interior looks like inside your design. So yes, here is the idea behind. So you can change the position of every element and experience with the VR what is happening inside those vehicles. And then another important part was the materials, color and trim. So here we wanted to experiment and understanding what the fabrics of the interior or the material of the exterior can be for the future, and what kind of interaction these materials can bring inside a vehicle. And then we started playing around with those materials and understanding what kind of configuration, using also small mannequins, understanding what position and what kind of materials is more convenient and more comfortable to have inside this new vehicle. And together with, of course, the VR and the Digify, we try to experiment a lot during this project. What can be the inside of this new vehicle as a living space. And then we tried to experiment with new shapes that are not really conventional for the traditional automotive industry, and also, you know, changing the seats and creating new interactions of the back seats and the front seats, and trying to play also a lot during the process. So here you can see the configuration, the final configuration of the vehicle that was created, and then of course always trying with the Digify to have new configurations. Then also, of course, we played a lot with phygital controllers and interactive smart surfaces that not only enables better communication with the vehicles, but also with the exterior, for example, with the outdoor communication. So we started from smart surfaces and experimenting with VR, understanding what kind of communication is needed, and in the future, how the vehicle is seen no more as an object, but more as a part of a system which is super technological and also smart, and can communicate also with the people around. So yes, and also of course connecting those elements with the digital systems that we have now. So smartphones or even your home, and start, for example, approaching your car with the phone, or making the car communicating directly with for example, with your garage at home, and we mapped all the behaviors. Yes, so to conclude, let's say I wanted to show you a little bit our process from this perspective of UX design, and starting a new approach to the automotive sector, which is very traditional. But we are trying a little bit to make a small revolution, starting from the UX perspective, from a user point of view, and delivering projects which are not only based on the interior displays that you can see inside the cars, but approaching it in a more organic way, more holistic way. So experimenting not only with the touch screens, but also with controllers and the exterior lighting and the whole system that plays a role inside the vehicles. Here you can see even the screen, of course, is most of our work is working for smart screen and smart controllers. But let's say our focus would be to play a lot with different materials, understanding what can be the interactions with new materials and new technologies. Yeah. If you have any question about this, I'm just scrolling around to show you a little bit of showcase project. But yeah, this was my presentation. Thank you so much. If you have any question, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Benedetta. Virtual applause for you, and also from here you can. Thank you, because let's say you gave us exactly what we were expecting. So this is how the traditional vision of UX, or sorry, of car design, is evolving, integrating UX, let's say expertise component, but also potentiality. No, for the year for students, have you seen that the methodology are almost the same? What changes, let's say, the context in which we apply the same let's say, methodology and sensibility. About questions, we received a question by Davide Monti. Say, have you ever tried using haptic systems to improve the viewer experience during the design process? So, what about the app? I have seen some textile, some.
Yeah, thank you, Davide. So yes, we are actually, this is a hot topic because we are now approaching it, but we have done already something together with haptic and VR. So I don't know if you have seen in the presentation that controller. It's a door. It's a controller that stays in the door panel, and where maybe I can share my screen again. I will show you.
Unfortunately, with this configuration, we lose you, so we see only the screen. But okay.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to highlight that controller. It's this one here.
Yeah.
So actually, recently we have some software developer joining our team because, of course, we want to test everything that we are designing. So we need software developer that can make this connection real. So we actually built this module and we tested with VR. So the module was only a touch screen, which gives some haptic feedback. But then with the VR, you can see actually the UI on it. Yes. So haptic for now is a really interesting topic because we have seen also buttons with ultrasounds, which are not there, but you can feel it with tactile. But we are now trying to connect with companies, with suppliers that can show us these new technologies. For now, we are constantly experimenting. We are constantly researching for suppliers that can actually deliver newest technologies and that we can try in our studio with the Digify. So yes, but we want to explore even more than we are doing now.
Okay, so at the moment it seems that there is no more question, but I will leave the floor to Sebastiano that will do his speech, and then we can have a discussion together, a quick discussion together, if you would like. So Benedetta, thank you, and I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I will leave the floor to Sebastiano. I hope you can see the screen. Yes. And Sebastiano is here.
Yeah.
Maybe I can move.
Yes. Also, you can. Okay. Let's try to talk. I don't know if the volume is okay. Let's try.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay from home? Let's try.
Okay. It seems it is.
Okay.
Yep.
So you are pushing the buttons or? Okay.
As you prefer. Yep.
Okay.
You need just to do like this. Questa barra qua, se vai avanti qua sei a posto.
Okay. Okay, good. So thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Venanzio. Thank you also to Gianluca Brugnoli, who was home listening, that gave me the opportunity. Very nice to meeting you all. And my name is Sebastiano, and I'm the head of user experience design for the Milan Aesthetic Research Center of Huawei. Unfortunately, I cannot show much of what we do. Actually, I cannot show anything because we are a very advanced research center, so what we do is highly confidential. We are a cross-disciplinary design team. Our goal is to imagine the future for Huawei and for products. And what we're going to talk today, it's of course about UX, it's about automotive, but most of all, it's about the future, and more specifically, the future for us designers. So talking about cars, what does it fit? I mean, the future, for me, it looked like like flying cars. The car of the future was a car that could fly and like overcome. Can I take? Okay, wonderful. A flying car able to overcome all the traffic and traveling at light speed. Unfortunately, Robert Zemeckis didn't get it right. I mean, the future of the car is ambitious, but it's not about flying cars. It's about cars that can drive autonomously without us being in control. This is not only a breakthrough in terms of technology, but it's a change in the experience that we have in the car. So the car is no more like a means of transportation, so something that takes us from point A to point B, but becomes a space to have different experiences while we're going from point A to point B. Because we are not going to drive anymore, but where is it? Here.
Che mezzo, esatto. No, se clicchi di lato, esatto.
Okay. So this is like just an example of a concept car that's been presented this year at Munich Automotive mess from Audi. It's a self-driving car. You can already start seeing that there is no steering wheel. There is a steering wheel, but it's hidden. And the car starts looking more like a living room rather than a traditional car. But unfortunately, we are not there yet. Okay, not today. This is not happening. We are still far from there. So forget about like imagining yourself in this situation, sleeping or doing, watching a movie or like having a party with your friends. This is not going to happen very soon. Why? Well, because to get to that point, we need technology to move forward quite a lot. At the moment, I don't know if you can see on the screen, but we have like 6 levels of autonomous car. Right now, we are in between level 2 and level 3. And this is quite, it's a quite big step between level 2 and level 3, because what is the difference? The difference is that in level 2 cars, you have like assistance while you're driving, but you have to keep your hands on the wheel. From level 3 on, the driver is not going to keep the hands on the wheel anymore. So the car starts like acting autonomously. This doesn't mean that the technology isn't there. It's already there. What you see on the screen, there are like 4 examples of different electric autonomous vehicles with different like let's say complexity, starting from Tesla, which is level 2, the Model S, and the Mercedes, that model that I can't even read, it's the S-Class level 3, and which is allowed to circulate in some areas. It's partially allowed. Same thing for the Tesla. While on the level 4 and level 5, we have Waymo that was like started by Google, and it's a fully autonomous car. There is still a steering wheel, and the car through sensors and artificial intelligence can act autonomously. And Zoox, which is like the most advanced level 5 cars, there is no steering wheel anymore. There is no front and rear. It's basically it's a living room on wheels. But to understand a little bit better, like the complexity, a car to be autonomous needs to have a lot of technology inside, a lot of sensors that are like little eyes that allow the car to understand, to see where it's going, to understand the context through artificial intelligence. I mean, what you see in the top left corner is like actually what a LiDAR is a sensor. What you see is how it interprets surroundings. But technology, when we talk about technology for autonomous vehicles, we cannot talk only about like what's happening in the car. For this to happen, we need also the environment to be able to support this. So infrastructures, and this is like even more complex. 5G is enabling this, but still, I mean, it's a very long process. There are areas where the roads, the highways have been like are supporting with technology for testing purposes, of course. And there's this nice project. It's at the European level. It's called Sea Road. So 16 countries, they are testing on like some part of highways. Also in Italy, we are doing it on the Brennero highway. So they are putting technology in to test self-driving vehicles. So the road is quite long. So you might ask yourself what Huawei has to do with all this. We make phones. Most of you knows this company for phones. But the truth is that Huawei is a very big company. It makes not only consumer products, but also cloud services, infrastructures. It's like a giant octopus that can provide technologies at very different levels. So from us, like mortals, to governments, smart cities, and anything. And recently, there is like a new like area of expertise, which is called HI, Huawei Insight, that has the mission not to build autonomous vehicles, but to be the best-in-class partner for car makers to provide them with technology for electric self-driving vehicles. Just a few examples that these are like some of the things that we make in terms of like sensors, all the technology to put inside the car to read like the surroundings. And just as a case, you can look online for this model of car. It's called Ceres S5. This is an example of a joint venture between Huawei and a Californian car maker. So they make cars. They are good at doing that. We are good in technology. We work together to be even better. So what Huawei did with Ceres was to provide all the sensors, all the technology for this electric vehicle, and also the operating system, which is at the moment it's called HiCar. It's a sort of like Apple CarPlay. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but basically it's a system that allows to connect to your smartphone and mirror some of the features on the car, which is different from having like an operating system that is decoupled from the hardware. What is happening at the moment in traditional, let's say, car making is that the operating system is embedded in the hardware. This makes it very difficult to upgrade and has a lot of limitation. When you decouple, so you separate the operating system from the hardware, that enables like a lot of more like complex, more interesting things that we can do also as designers. Because basically, I mean, what people expectations are for the future of car is to have the same type of experience than they have on their smartphone, on their tablet. They want to have the same applications. They want to have the same interactions. And this is possible if you decouple, if you separate the software from the hardware. And this is what we are going to do. The new series that will be launched in 2022 will be the first car mounting Harmony OS operating system, which is the Huawei operating system that you find on smartphones, on tablet devices, on smart devices. So for us designers, I mean, this is like a new golden age because there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do because, well, I want you to make like a comparison because when we talk about innovation, innovation goes in cycles, okay? And I really like to talk about innovation using like these two characters, because in automotive now is happening what's happened at the early 2000s with the smartphones. So when Apple launched the first iPhone, well, Apple didn't have any experience in doing smartphones. They were doing computers. Nokia, Ericsson. I don't know if you remember BlackBerry. Okay, you have like analog keyboard, you have a screen. Okay, 2007. I mean, iPhone wipes everything out. Okay, this is the smartphone. And this is a pattern that we find in innovation, that disruption doesn't happen inside the market. There is like an outer entity that is able to like interpret where the future is going, and then create disruption. Okay, same thing. I mean, that gentleman over there from South Africa, the same thing he did with many businesses, but especially with automotive. Okay, so in 2012 he said, you engineers from Europe, you keep on working on your interiors, on your engines. Okay, this is the future of automotive. This is Tesla. Okay, so and this is like, I don't know if you can see an image from 2012 that you can see like side by side, like a BMW X5 compared to a Tesla Model S. So we have a lot of differences happening here. In BMW, we have very cluttered and fragmented experience. We have different embedded softwares. We didn't have an operating system. The experience was very poor. Analog type of input, peripherals, digital screens. On the other hand, Tesla simplified, streamlined the technology, the experience, unified the operating system and the user experience. And it brought like a tablet-style interaction to the automotive world. And of course, the possibility to update regularly the operating system. So fast forward 10 years, okay, traditional car makers, they are trying to improve, they're trying to keep up with the new direction of the market. And not always they succeed. I mean, I've chosen this example intentionally. I saw it in Munich this year. I mean, this is like an overkill on the under the user experience perspective. I mean, just look at the steering wheel. I mean, from the projection you can't see really well, but there's like 100 buttons. I mean, can you imagine driving and trying to figure out what you have to press without crashing? Okay, and this hyper screen, still with some analog metaphors in the cluster, you see like the speedometers. While, I mean, Tesla is the new Model S or the new Model 3, I mean, completely minimal experience, maybe too much. But of course, I mean, Tesla is not the only best practice. There are a lot of brands that are doing, like good like work in terms of in-car user experience. And of course, Tesla is not the only like model to follow. There are different archetypes that we can see, like different patterns that are constantly applied nowadays. So from 2-screen setups to here you can see different examples to like more advanced with three-screen setups. We have Lucy there. The previous example is an American luxury concept car. Then we have the Porsche Taycan, which was the first one, and this is like a Chinese Li 1 car. So when software like is taking over the car, technology is taking over the car, these like create a lot of complexity. So for us designer, this means a lot of work because we need to consider a lot of different use cases that did not exist in the past. So the driving experience extends to what happens before driving, but also what happens after the driving experience. These, I mean, without going too much into detail, I mean, this means that as designers have more work to do. Okay, it's more complex. There's a higher degree of complexity that we need to deal with, and a lot of like new things that we need to consider. Okay, so if we are not driving anymore, we still need to be to keep like attention. We are more distracted. We have new ways of interacting with the car. We can use voice. We have artificial intelligence embedded in the car, taking decisions. And again, the expectation from people to sit inside the car and have like the same type of experience that they have when they are playing with their smartphone or their tablets. They want to have like this sense of being part of an ecosystem. If you see, I mean, car is getting more complex, technology. I mean, you don't see it, but the top line that you see, the longest line, are the lines of codes that you need for a car now, which is way higher than an operating system or a space shuttle. And projections say that by 2030, like 50% of the cost of cars will be for technology. So this means that, guys, car with crashes, prepare to that. Not only Windows users will experience that, but also car owners will experience that. And another thing that as designers we need to consider, well, that gentleman from South Africa, Elon Musk, he opened the gates. But what's happening in China is going at double speed with respect to what is happening here in Europe. We are more conservative. I mean, our brands are established. They struggle a bit to innovate because of their heritage, because they've been doing automotive in a way for many years. But in China, they have a completely different approach to technology. So we need to also, as designers, I mean, this is my point of view. First of all, is not a pro-China campaign, absolutely, but I experience it every day. I mean, Chinese people, Asian people in general, they have different expectations towards technology. They have a completely different approach. They are more open. So while they are still like doing like concept cars, like the mini Urbanaut concept of like this futuristic living space, in China they are already putting in production cars that allow you to like recline the chairs, to have a sort of bed, have a screen like rolling out, and enjoy a movie. So for them, the car is already like a living space, which is something completely different for us. Maybe hard to understand because we have different habits, but also have a different approach to things. So traditionally, like car, also the way they communicate, they wear, the way they intend design, it's pretty serious. It's pretty like traditional or conventional. Chinese or Asian people, they have a different take on it. I mean, what you see on the left, I don't know if you're familiar, there's a brand called Neo. It's a joint venture between a European Chinese company, and they have this in-car assistant that it's a sort of like physical mascot with a screen that moves and have different faces, and they are all customizing this assistant with different hats. You see that. So they have a very playful approach to technology and also to cars. So I want to end this speech with this quote. I mean, this is like a sentence that I hear very often. So is the car the new smartphone? And well, the technology is there, the user experience not yet. So what does it mean? For us designers, for you, this means opportunity. Because, I mean, there's a lot of things to do. And this is the end. Thank you very much.
So, thank you, Sebastiano, and Benedetta. I saw that you are already there. I will go back to the slides. So, this was exactly what we were expecting, because really this world is changing radically and rapidly, and also is changing the relation between the physical and digital element into the vehicle, but also in our life. So because also Benedetta used the terms about phygital. So I completely agree with you. There's a lot of opportunity for designer. And this is true because also one way, but also Grand Studio is looking for UX designers. So get ready your portfolio, guys, and get ready to start think differently in relation also to your perspective, because we are used to think that our future is the smartphone, but what is real is that we will be surrounded by objects that are more and more intelligent than the smartphone. And the object become a sort of smartphone. So it's not the new smartphone, but they become platforms that are integrated into ecosystem, and they need to discuss or conversate with the user in a different way. So I really appreciate the Chinese case studies, because they radically change the way they live these cars, and many times the cars are bigger than their home. So it's really a different perspective, no? So there was a question, but it was technical question. So Julia was asking for the slides, but for everyone, we will make a sort of let's say a medium post, and we will with the highlight of this talk for everyone. And about the slides, it's up to you guys. If you wish to share with our participants, we will send them privately. Otherwise, they will receive the best highlight into the medium, just to have no problem with let's say right or related with the images and also the project. There's any question here? Yes.
Thanks for being here today, first of all. But it's more than a question, it's a publication of where we are. Because you were saying that the starting from this whole project.
Vieni qua, così si sente meglio.
The starting point from this project is that we don't need to drive anymore. But what about the pleasure of driving? And we have maybe legacy in Europe, maybe a little bit more, as I said before. What can the pleasure of driving, certain brands that maybe in Asia do not have. I don't know that personally. So why do you think we will not need to drive anymore for pleasure? Maybe that's it. Thanks.
That's a very good question. And yeah, to be honest, I mean, driving in China is not a nice experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I never tried, but I've been in China many times before the pandemic, of course. And yeah, it's completely, I mean, even my Chinese colleagues that are here in Milan, they said that driving in Europe is much, much nicer. I mean, it's completely different. So I understand your point. I don't think like the driving car, like with the conventional steering wheel, will disappear. We will see like self-driving cars or vehicles more and more, but they will coexist. Think of like public transportation. I mean, we are talking about like a future that is still far. But still, I mean, I think also both we come from an experience where we enjoy driving. But if we think like of newer generations, probably they already will be born in a context where driving is not necessary anymore. So they don't have this connection with this experience. So probably it will have a different meaning to them.
Yeah, for them, driving is a PS5 action. So it's not in real, but is more digital, already digital. And this is true because for maybe in UK, for example, less than 40% of people with less than 18 years take, that just arrived to the age for them, the license, the driver licensing, they refuse the opportunity. So they prefer to use services. So this is what is going on, but also this is the way also the car producers are working. So Benedetta, which is your point of view from Grand Design? Because there are many producers that are really works on dream of driving, and Grand Design showed us one of the most performative car in this sense. But they are maybe for race, private race, or for other events. So there will be some streets that are only for drive for fun, but drive for every day is not fun. During commuting in traffic or driving in a motorway is far from the fun situation, in my opinion. Also. Maybe this will be different. Benedetta, what do you think about this?
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. I don't know why. Okay, let's try again.
Now?
Yes, now yes.
Okay, sorry. Yes, so I was saying everyone has his own opinion, I think. I strongly believe that autonomous driving has a lot of benefits, including accessibility, for example. Imagine like blind people, they cannot move anywhere autonomously, or at least some of them can use buses, for example, but they cannot really drive, right? They have to take taxis, for example. So I think autonomous driving will be there. So as also, sorry, I don't remember your name, but also the other speaker said, showed the robotaxi. Sebastiano, sorry. He showed the robotaxi, right? So in California, they're already testing over these robots. So I think there are a lot of benefits, but for sure, the fun, the passion that people have for cars, I think it will not disappear. Of course, it will become more like a restricted group of people that will continue this traditional, let's say, approach to vehicles. I hope that in the future also autonomous driving will really reduce the fatality on road, for example. That if if cars will be all connected, they will predict the behavior of other road users, and they will stop, for example, if the pedestrian is crossing and there is not going to be any distraction problem. But I think the manual driving will be there, but only for a niche of people. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, because this is the question many people is thinking about this situation, but this is a matter of culture. So we need to evolve ourselves also in relation with the object and the product, that if the product change, we need to change our mindset. So this is the question. I look you as a tired, and also tomorrow we have the closing of the course, so they are also thinking in the presentation that they need to make. So I will thank you for your let's say kindness to be here, and also the quality. Click sul nome. Okay. Thank you for all the assistance that you are doing with us, and I hope to see you again. We are working for an event in let's say before March or something like this, around March or something like this, to better discuss this topic, because this topic is coming really relevant, and I'm not joking when I say take your portfolio in your hands and also try to see what will be the next future of this opportunity, because all the industry are looking for this kind of competencies, and we will also send you some email with the request. As you know, we are here in the user experience, but course, but also there is a master in user experience psychology. We closed the second edition that will start in January 2022 with the full book, and this is good. But we will have the third one, but also someone that is interested in developing the skill about transportation automobile design. There is the master TAD, in which we are partner, and also I'm responsible for UX design in this master. And this will be a good opportunity for the ones that come for the product design side. So because, as you know, we can approach the problem for both the side, okay? So thank you again, and I wish to thanks also Benedetta for the kindness to remain with us, and I hope to see you soon in Turin for the next meetings for research activities that we are dealing both with you, okay? Bye, guys. Thank you. Ciao,
Thank
ciao.
you. Bye.